They say these walls are completely impenetrable. They claim no one ever leaves alive. But every single system has a flaw. Hidden deep within the concrete shadows here, a jagged piece of hidden scrap metal remains your only leverage. This raw iron is your only tool if you pull this off precisely tonight. The camera sweep lasts exactly 12 seconds. You must unscrew the metal grate now before the lens swivels back around, or your entire escape ends right here. The guards call this place the tomb because nobody ever bypasses the primary gate. Yet you have mapped out every wire. Your fingers turn the rusted iron bolt as sweat drops slowly onto the cold floor. One slip makes a loud metallic ring. The automated hub monitors the local audio, they track the microfrequencies of our breath. Control your lungs or trigger the lockdown. The layout reveals the true escape path, a narrow passage through the main utility. It leads directly toward the external yard. The metal casing finally gives way tonight, and a pitch-black void is waiting for you. The backup generators will cut out soon. The mechanical gears keep grinding along slowly, their electronic cycle completely unyielding here, but human error remains our ultimate weapon. The evening patrol just finished their rounds. Their footsteps fade down the concrete hall. You have exactly 60 minutes of quiet. Pull your weight up into the frame. The sharp iron edges cut your shoulders. Ignore the pain or lose your footing. The lens passes over your empty bed. The shadows hide the missing ventilation piece. The clock is ticking down to 0. Stage 1 is officially in motion now. There is absolutely no turning back anymore. Welcome to maximum security prison breakout. Navigating this ventilation shaft requires absolute structural awareness. The dust inside these old pipes is heavy, sticking to your skin while you drag your torso forward inch by inch. You cannot afford a single sudden movement here. Directly ahead lies the primary routing terminal for Sector 4. This hub controls the localized power distribution grids. If you map the schematics correctly, a single deliberate disruption will blind the automated command deck entirely. Your tool is completely primitive. It is just a scrap copper loop strip from an old laundry room appliance, wrapped carefully in discarded rubber insulation to protect your palms. One bare patch touching the steel frame will send a lethal surge right through your chest cavity. The substation cooling fans are vibrating heavily against the floorboards below you. Their rhythmic mechanical drone helps mask the sound of your progress. You pull your frame closer to the terminal housing, tracking the heavy red primary cable. This line feeds the main motion sensor arrays along the eastern security wall. The central computer continuously runs automated diagnostic loops every 3 minutes. You must bridge the terminals during the exact window when the local monitoring station cycles its database. Your hands are slick with sweat, making the smooth rubber insulation incredibly difficult to stabilize. The clock on your wrist confirms the power grid transition has officially begun. You press the copper loop directly into the exposed metal contacts. Sparks fly upward into the darkness as the circuit panels short out, plunging the sector into absolute blackness. Dropping out of the ventilation system is the point of no return. The drop down to the concrete subfloor is exactly 9 feet, a distance that can easily snap an ankle if you hit an uneven pipe. You release your grip, dropping silently into the thick layer of industrial dust below. The air down here tastes heavily of ozone and rusted iron plating. This corridor serves as the primary maintenance artery for the facility's heavy utility systems. Running along the western wall is a massive steam conduit pipe vibrating under intense pressure. The regular high-pressure venting cycles produce a deafening hiss that will cover the sound of your footsteps. Ahead lies the first major obstacle of the breach phase. The access corridor is sealed by a heavy magnetic compression door drawing power directly from the secondary substation loop. Since you successfully compromised the routing terminal back in the shaft, the magnetic lock should be cycling through an automated manual reboot sequence. You move quickly through the dense steam plumes, keeping your shoulder pressed flat against the rough concrete contours. A single glance at the door status panel confirms your hypothesis. The security indicator light is dark, meaning the primary locking bolts have retreated into the frame. You slide your fingers into the recessed iron handle, applying slow, steady pressure to prevent the heavy hinges from squeaking. The threshold opens just wide enough for your frame to slip through into the next sector zone. The path ahead is clear, but a distant mechanical click tells you the security grid is already trying to adapt. Every flawless plan eventually encounters an unmapped variable. Staring through the dim haze of the utility corridor, your flashlight beam reflects off an unlisted iron barricade blocking the path entirely. This secondary security gate wasn't on the original blueprints smuggled out of the warden's office. It is secured by a heavy mechanical tumbler lock, completely immune to the digital disruption you triggered upstairs. Your heart rate spikes instantly, a dangerous reaction that ruins the steady hand required for precision bypass work. According to the internal clock on your display, the main automated mainframe will finish its recovery protocol in exactly 90 seconds. If that processing loop completes before you break through this barrier, the high-voltage floor grids will snap back online, trapping you in this concrete corridor permanently. You reach deep into your jumpsuit lining, pulling out a thin, tempered spring steel wire salvaged from the recreation yard fence. Your fingers are trembling violently against the cold iron of the lock cylinder as you insert the improvised tension tool. A distant scratchy tone echoes from the overhead paging system, indicating the main computer is initializing its hardware diagnostics early. You apply steady manual pressure, feeling the internal brass components shift sluggishly inside the frozen keyway mechanism. Pin 1 sets with a muted metallic click. Pin 2 binds immediately under the crude angle of your tool. You twist the wire with everything you have, praying the cheap steel doesn't shear off inside the chamber and seal your fate. Pushing past the broken gate brings you directly into the nerve center of Sector 2. This cavernous automated relay hub houses the primary network terminals responsible for routing local security telemetry back to the control tower. The entire room vibrates with a heavy, low-frequency hum generated by rows of active server blades. Navigating this space requires tactical precision. The perimeter surveillance arrays down this aisle utilize thermal tracking modules that will flag any unverified movement within 3 seconds. You slip beneath the primary scanning arc, dropping low toward an unmonitored system diagnostics node. To trick the network, you do not need to rewrite the security system's architecture. You simply need to insert an active data bridge loop into the local terminal interface. This manual interruption tricks the core processor into believing this specific corridor section remains entirely clear. Your hands move across the worn maintenance interface with forced composure, inputting the stolen network bypass commands line by line. The progress indicator on your screen crawls forward painfully slow while the automated ceiling camera swings back toward your current position. If that localized sensor scans your profile before the data injection concludes, the entire facility goes into automatic lockdown. Sweat drops onto the cold metallic surface of the diagnostic terminal as you input the final sequence parameter. The system interface flashes, accepting the corrupted loop. A series of heavy high-voltage relay switches click open across the room, knocking out the local network power grids and plunging the corridor into total darkness. The true enemy of an escape plan isn't the automated security grid. It is the overwhelming psychological panic that sets in when the walls literally close in around you. Squeezing your frame into this unmapped vertical utility chasm forces you into an unforgiving, claustrophobic reality. The raw, jagged concrete contours press tightly against your chest and shoulder blades, leaving absolutely zero room to expand your lungs fully. A wave of intense vertigo washes over your mind as you look down into the infinite black drop stretching beneath your boots. One misplaced footstep or a single structural rebar pipe breaking loose will send you plunging down into the foundation machinery below. Your heart rate accelerates exponentially, a dangerous biological response that consumes your rapidly dwindling oxygen supply inside this stagnant air pocket. The rough masonry scrapes against your knuckles, leaving deep tracks of sweat and blood along the stone interface. You can feel the cold sweat pooling under your collar while your thoughts race toward the absolute worst-case scenario. To survive this bottleneck, you must completely decouple your mind from the physical terror of the confinement. Directly ahead, just inches from your nose, sits an old rusted iron exhaust vent cover. The burning metal surfaces are radiating intense heat from the main mechanical pump rooms nearby, threatening to scorch your skin upon contact. You force your trembling hands forward, gripping the blazing metal framework with everything you have left. With one final, agonizing push, the structural fasteners shear away entirely. Emerging from the suffocating enclosure of the exhaust vent brings you face to face with the final obstacle. The freezing night air hits your face alongside a torrent of heavy rain, instantly slicking the asphalt courtyard of the outer perimeter. Towering 50 feet above you sits the primary concrete barrier wall, the absolute edge dividing captivity from complete freedom. High-powered searchlights from the eastern sniper towers cut rhythmically through the downpour, scanning the yard for any anomalous shapes. You have precisely 20 seconds to cross the open, exposed zone before the primary sweep pattern returns to your current coordinates. Mounted directly near the heavy fence line is the manual electronic gate junction enclosure. It is sealed behind a thick, weatherproof panel designed to prevent unauthorized tampering during a facility crisis. You handle a heavy concrete fragment, shattering the security glass with a single, desperate strike that echoes dangerously through the rain. The exposed override lever is now directly within your reach, glowing under the dim emergency system lights. You grip the freezing iron handle with both hands, throwing your entire body weight into the mechanical mechanism to force the bypass. A deafening metallic screech tears through the courtyard as the automated locking pins decouple from the frame, and the massive steel gate begins to lift. The automated base sirens activate instantly, bathing the entire rain-slicked yard in a chaotic rotation of blinding strobe lights. You drop low into a full sprint, targeting the rapidly opening gap before the mechanism fails. The cold gravel of the external boundary road cuts violently through your fabric footwear as you throw your body underneath the closing steel framework of the gate. You hit the mud sliding, rolling down a steep embankment into the absolute shadows of the surrounding pine forest. Behind you, the primary transformer hub of the fortress undergoes a catastrophic electrical meltdown, throwing massive hazard orange arcs into the rainy sky. The alarms are wailing fiercely now, a deafening mechanical scream that signals the guard towers have officially discovered your empty cell. You crawl through the dense wet brush, keeping your profile completely flat against the earth as high-powered searchlights begin tearing through the tree canopy. The initial extraction vehicle is supposed to be idling exactly 2 miles south beneath the highway bridge, but the security grid is moving faster than your calculations predicted. Headlights are already shifting near the main perimeter gate as patrol units deploy into the brush line. You have successfully executed the breakout, but surviving the next hour requires a completely different set of tactical decisions. If you run toward the primary extraction node, you risk walking straight into an organized blockade. If you dive deeper into the unmapped ravine, you are entirely on your own. Your choices right now dictate whether this freedom lasts for a lifetime or ends in a cold cell block. Hit subscribe to lock in your strategy for Stage 4, because outsmarting this tracker requires a flawless execution. Otherwise, you will find yourself right back where we started.